Hey everybody, Wolf here. So I've had a lot of questions from people about the water tank up on the Wolfeneer. I've been getting all kinds of interesting comments about it, so I thought I'd do a follow-up video there, let you guys know how it's been doing. I built this tank June of 2020. It was kind of a project to do during the pandemic. So it's been up there, well, over a year now, because it's now August of 2021 now, so I've been using it for over a year, and it's been great. I love this tank. I'm glad I built it. So, yes, I had a few problems at the time I built it, but I seem to have corrected most of everything. So I thought I'd show everybody how well it's working, how it's doing, and how well I'm using it. So I'll start off by showing how the water pressure is doing. So as you can see, no problem here. Got plenty of pressure. And I'm not pressurizing the tank or anything. This is just all gravity fed. Gives me enough water to wash dishes here, things like that, and wash my hands, that sort of stuff. So I do have to make sure the truck is parked at a decent angle there for to get the correct water pressure. So it needs to be fairly level, maybe even better if I get it slightly slanted towards the front, which unfortunately puts my bed at an angle I don't like, but that's one little downside to it. But it does get plenty of water pressure, so I don't really need to pressurize it or anything like that. The gravity feed works fine. I don't need a pump. I was originally thinking I might have to add a pump to it, but no, I don't need to do that. So the tank itself fits nicely inside the roof basket on my truck. I built it perfectly to fit inside there. And it's just made out of regular white Schedule 40 PVC. And then I painted it first with a plastic primer and then with some truck bed liner. Gives a nice black textured finish. You can see in a few spots, like down here, paint is chipped a little bit here and in here. A spot there. So there's a few spots I could probably go through and touch up on it. It's especially evident in spots like right here. If I come over to the other side of it here, some areas there. That actually happened when I was loading it into the tank. I mean into the basket. And up there. There's a few spots there. But overall, the paint is holding. It's only scratched when I was putting it into the basket. That's where most of the damage happened. So one of these days I'll go back through it and touch it up. But overall, the black helps heat the water up inside. And when I park this truck in the sun and I've got a tank full of water up there, I can get some pretty hot water coming out of this thing. So it's been great on these cooler days here, like today where it's only stayed in the low 70s. Now, I did originally add this basically, it's one of these bike valves. It's actually a tire valve. Put an air pump on there and pump up a tire type of thing. And I was going to pressurize this tank, but then I didn't build the PVC part of it right. So as you may remember from my previous video, I had problems building the, or joining the PVC sections together. I didn't glue them right. I've since learned there was some other steps I was supposed to do from one of my commenters. Commented on there that I was supposed to put the glue on both sides of the PVC and then twist them as I put them in. I didn't know that. So, needless to say, the sections didn't stick together right and it leaked. And since I didn't really want to spend the money buying all new PVC sections and didn't find out until almost a year later I could heat the sections and break them apart per one of my other commenters. But at this point in time, I'm not going to worry about it. The tank is working fine. I mean, I put epoxy on it after talking to my local hardware store. That saved me from having to rebuy all new parts or try to disassemble the whole thing that was already glued together and put it back together. It just didn't seem worth the effort to me. Put that epoxy on the sections and it hasn't leaked. But it's not perfect. If I do pressurize it with that Schrader valve on the front, which is what that tire valve is called, it will leak. So I can't pressurize the tank. It does leak a little bit here and there, especially if I'm traveling into mountainous areas. But overall, I've been happy with it. It works. It does what I need it to do, and it holds 9 gallons of water. So if you're thinking of building one of these, believe me, it's well worth it. It does work. So another addition to it, the drain cock. I found that actually in the automotive section at my local hardware store. So I'm not really sure generally what they use for, but that's an air vent. So one of my viewers had asked me about an air vent, and that's how I get air into it. Originally I was taking the whole cleaning cap off and loosening it up there anyway. Loosen it up, take it off, let some air in that way. But then I added that into it, and all I have to do is open that valve. So, in fact, it wasn't even open all the way. But when I need to store water in it and move the vehicle around, I can close that up. And now no air is going to get in and out of that valve. No water is going to splash out of it. And I can open it up. And I want to use the tank, and now air gets in. Yeah, just a regular water spigot. I did add a 90-degree elbow to it on the front there to make it easier to get at it, because I realized when I first got in that angle there didn't work so well. Originally this was actually designed to go the other direction, so that water spigot would be sticking out of the back. But after I built it, I couldn't get the water spigot to go past the metal bar on the back of the rack here. So it wouldn't fit through here. So I ended up just turning it around, and I use it that way instead. And it works. I did add a quick disconnect to the hose. So when I get here, I don't have to go fiddling around with twisting it on and everything. It just pops right on. And again, I've been very happy with this setup. It is a little bit difficult to fill outside of home, because what I do is I actually have a coupler that I connect up to this hose, to my garden hose at home, and I just backfeed the water into the tank, and when the water starts squirting out of the valve on top, I know it's full. And that works, but you can't do that when you're on the road. So I think in my next camping vehicle, I'm going to do internal tanks that I can just remove and bring over to a water spigot at a campground. But it's great for like 3 days worth of use. That's usually how long it lasts me. It's about 3 days before the tank is empty. Now we're going to get onto the big question that I get a lot of people asking about: weight. So a lot of people seem to be concerned that I'm pushing the weight limits, the weight carrying capacity of the Wolfeneer. So let's go over this. The Wolfeneer is a 2002 Mercury Mountaineer. It's the same thing as the 2002 Generation Ford Explorer. Pretty much the same vehicle. Nice thing about a big SUV like this is that it has a 200-pound weight carrying capacity on the top. So I can put up to 200 pounds on top of the roof without problem. And as long as it's evenly distributed. My water tank is pretty evenly distributed. So how much does this whole thing weigh on top? Well, I don't have an actual weight, but I can give you an estimated number here. Alright, so the tank holds 9 gallons of water. Now, water does have some weight to it, no doubt about that. It's 8.34 pounds per gallon. There's 9 gallons, so 8.34 times 9 is 75.06 gallons, I think, something like that. Let's just call it 75 pounds. Just round it out to 75 pounds. So this is the heaviest part is the water, and that's, again, very well evenly distributed across the whole top of the truck. Now this is the PVC pipe itself. So the tank is about 5 feet long and 4 feet wide total. So that's about 18 feet of PVC pipe. Let's call it 20 to make it a round number to cover all the fittings and other things that are on there. So according to what I've looked up online, PVC pipe is about 2 pounds per foot for the 4-inch PVC Schedule 40, which is what that is, 4-inch Schedule 40. Standard run-of-the-mill PVC pipe. So if we're saying 2 pounds per foot, and we're saying about 20 feet altogether up there, it's about 40 pounds. So you got 40 pounds of PVC pipe. Now we've got the roof basket itself. Now per the manufacturer's specifications, that roof basket weighs about 35 pounds. That probably included the plastic fairing that was on the front of it here too, which I don't have. So we got about 35 pounds of roof basket now, on top of everything else. Okay, so the weather station and the big cellular antenna are not on there when I drive, so they're not figured into this weight calculations. And the 2 ham radio antennas, I'm going to say probably at most with the mounting hardware weigh about 1 pound each. And finally you have the 100-watt Renogy solar panel that's on the roof with a leaf on it. Leaf doesn't weigh anything. But the solar panel itself, per manufacturer specifications, is 14.3 pounds. So let's call it 15 pounds just to account for some of the mounting hardware and stuff like that that's on there. So that's about it. That's everything that's on there. Okay, so let's see if we can remember all these numbers now. I got my calculator here in front of me. So, we've got 75 pounds for the water, and we've got 40 pounds for the tank, 35 pounds for the roof basket, 15 pounds for the solar panel, and 2 pounds for the 2 ham radio antennas. What does that come out to? 176 pounds. That's a lot of weight. Yes, that's a lot of weight to be driving with. But with the rating of the truck being 200 pounds, it's within its limits. And it has some overhead there of what is it? About over 30 pounds. Has some overhead for about 30 pounds on it, so I can account for miscalculations on some of that stuff pretty easily. So there's plenty of weight carrying capacity left. So yeah, it all fits. Now, if you're driving a smaller SUV like the Ford Escape or something like that, check your user's manual before building something like this. Just make sure you're within the weight limits and make sure you know what you're putting up there. But if you've got like the Ford Explorer type SUV, you've got 200 pounds of carrying capacity up there. So you can fit this stuff up there. Yeah, I admit I slow down a bit when I'm going around corners and stuff when this is loaded, and I don't push the truck as hard because I know it's a little bit more top heavy, but it handles just fine. I don't really notice any change in its performance or anything. I do notice the extra weight, but I can tell it's there, especially in braking and stuff. But it's no worse than what the trailer with the scooter on it does behind me. That puts a lot more drag on the truck and causes a lot more problems with braking than anything on the roof. So again, I do slow down a bit around the corners when it's set up there and things like that. So it's been fine. So you can put that much weight on the roof of a truck just fine. If I were to get into an accident, it might be a little bit of a problem, but it probably just, the tank would probably break and spill water everywhere. So it probably wouldn't be an issue there either. So with that brings us to the end of this clip. Hopefully this answers some people's questions. If anybody has any additional questions about the tank, feel free to ask them below. I'll try to answer anything I can. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and remember to slow down and enjoy life. Talk to you guys later. Hey everybody, Wolf here. I thought I'd do a follow-up. No.